What is this?
Congressman Louis Gohmert. Unlike many of his colleagues, he often refused to wear a mask in Congress. And then he tested positive for COVID-19. But in an interview, he suggested that he got COVID-19 because of the times he did.
Dude, chat, what's happening? Dude, he does it again. Red Jeff 44. Dude, that's not like $100. That's like $400. Dude, I don't know how, why. That's a lot of money, dude. Jesus, Red Jeff 44. Chat, can you guys tell me with a bunch of fucking pugs in chat? You're crazy, man. I don't know what to say. That's like a crazy amount of money, dude. I don't deserve it, but thanks so much, man.
Did wear a mask.
I might have put
actual Amazon CEO in chat, dude.
And breathed it in.
Gohmert's distrust of masks is actually shared by a ton of Americans. A poll in July asked Americans how often they wear a mask. Among Democrats, almost everyone said they wore a mask in public, but significantly fewer Republicans said so. Yet the messaging from public health officials today is clear. Wearing a mask helps stop the spread of COVID-19. So where did this communication break down? How was something as simple as wearing a mask allowed to become political?
Wait, what is that? My body, my choice. Dude,
in October
what?
of 2001, the U.S. bungled a different public
That's
health
not
crisis.
how that works, dude.
Someone sent envelopes of deadly anthrax to media organizations and government offices. First, the Secretary of Health and Human Services went on TV and speculated about how the first victim might have gotten it.
We do know that he drank water out of a stream.
Why are you giving us that detail?
Just because he was an outdoorsman, and there's a possibility that there's all kinds of possibilities. We don't know. We don't know yet.
As the crisis continued, different officials gave different conflicting information.
Wait,
no one
that's so
was
crazy.
really in charge of communicating to the public. And it led the U.S. Centers for Disease Control to make this, the Crisis and Emergency Risk Communication Guide, or CIRC. It's a guide to how to communicate during a public health crisis.
The CIRC guidelines are really a reflection of the lessons that were learned from failures.
Glenn Nowak used to be in charge of communications for the CDC. He's used the CIRC and even
Anthrax, dude.
And he says one of the biggest lessons from the anthrax attack is what the CIRC now calls the most important role in a crisis, and the key to preventing mass confusion, having a single person as the spokesperson.
It really helps to have one primary voice, one primary face.
The CIRC says the spokesperson should be someone who is familiar with the subject matter and can talk about it clearly and confidently.
A lot of communications, particularly in a public
That
health
makes
crisis,
sense.
is about setting,
makes sense.
guiding, and managing people's expectations.
Okay, why are you saying this is all political narratives? Dude, a lot of this is like actual science and like, you know, like actual behavioral science, and it literally is. Like, how people will perceive information and how they'll intake it, if they're going to be defensive of it or not. Like,
It's
this matters.
early on to not just talk about what you know, but what you don't know.
Essentially, the spokesperson needs to be seen as trustworthy and credible, which is one reason you don't want your spokesperson to be a politician, because it's really hard for any politician to be seen as credible by everyone.
They often only resonate with those who support them, and they don't resonate with those who did not vote for them.
That doesn't mean political leaders can't be involved in public health communication. They just can't take the lead on the science. A good example of a government following these principles during COVID-19 was in New Zealand, where the Prime Minister was at many of the daily briefings, but wasn't leading it.
As is our usual practice, I'll begin by handing over to Dr. Bloomfield.
What's important is that everybody is on the same page with respect to the overall messaging.
But in the US, there hasn't been a clear spokesperson or a clear message. Press conferences were led by President Trump and would feature politicians as well as public health experts, and they often contradicted each other.
We do expect more cases.
When you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero.
Especially when it came to guiding those expectations.
We will have coronavirus in the fall.
It may not come back at all. Developing very rapidly a vaccine.
That could be a year to a year and a half.
These conflicts asked many Americans to pick a side. Who do you believe, the president or public health officials?
medical experts.
Dr. Anthony Fauci seems to favor what the Democrats want.
Dr. Fauci, who appears to believe he's in charge of the country.
It's important that we listen to our elected leaders, not the medical bureaucracy.
That breakdown between public health officials and politicians can get especially dangerous if the information starts to change, which it almost always does during a crisis.
You need to remind people very frequently that you're going to be making changes based on the growing body of knowledge. And that as a result, it's going to look like you're being inconsistent. But more importantly, you're learning, and you're learning what works best.
Early on, the CDC advised people not to wear masks. But as they learned more about the new virus, they changed the guidelines.
What has changed in our recommendation? We now know from recent studies that a significant portion of individuals with coronavirus.
I'm sorry, Jack. I might have missed the class, chat in politics class, but what is a surgeon general? Is it like the master surgery doer? Like, okay, he's like the rank 1 army medic dude.
Symptoms. CDC is always looking at the data. We've told you that from the beginning. Dr. Birx says it every single press conference. We're looking at the data. We're evolving our recommendations.
But this shift wasn't supported by Trump personally.
The masks, it's going to be really a voluntary thing. You can do it. You don't have to do it. I'm choosing not to do it.
Soon, masks became the symbol of the war between Trump and the medical experts.
I think it's a political hoax.
No, I don't wear a mask.
Shame on you for voting for a mask. And I say Trump 2020.
By June, more Republicans trusted Trump than the CDC for facts about the coronavirus.
Jesus.
It was exactly the scenario the communication guidelines had been written to avoid.
What's frustrating is knowing that many of the challenges are self-inflicted wounds, or they're things that could have.
Guys, I ask this all the time, dude. These stats are crazy all the time. They're always insane, but it's like these people don't exist. Like, I'm not saying that it's like they actually don't exist, but maybe they're not as vocal as the one against some of these things, but it's like, who the fuck are those people? But then you're like, dude, that's the majority. Does that make sense? This is what I'm trying to say, dude. So it's like, who thinks that? What the fuck is wrong with these people, dude? And then it ends up being the majority people.
It was exactly the scenario the communication guidelines had been written to avoid.
What's frustrating is knowing that many of the challenges are self-inflicted wounds, or they're things that could have been avoided based on past experience.
In 2001, the U.S. got lucky. The anthrax attacks eventually stopped. The problem went away. In 2020, the U.S. made the same mistakes. But we haven't been so lucky.
Why are you saying this is going to Hassan in trouble? What are you gonna tell Hassan, dude? What are you gonna fucking tell him? What did I say that was bad? Bitch. All I mean, dude, is that man.
13-month xQc, thanks for all the fun.
Guys, this discussion doesn't have to be political, okay? It's just a concept that I can't grasp on. It's like everybody, every news outlet, every Twitter account, every media source, everybody's like, all the population, all the discussions, everybody's like against like Trump or whatever. But then he gets elected. And I get it, electoral college means that he doesn't need that majority of all the voters, but still, that's an insane, absurd amount of people that voted. So it's like, I don't get it. And I have no dog in this fight. If I was American, I probably wouldn't have voted. I said it. If I was American, I probably wouldn't have voted, because I was too busy streaming and doing some other shit, and I couldn't master all the political topics to find the candidate that fits my choice, dude. I'd rather not vote than vote for something that coincidentally, accidentally, I didn't believe in. Even if it's just for the day. Joy, your stay. Outside the sun is shining.